Have you ever felt that reflex, that need to justify who you are by explaining what you do? We've all been there. But here's the truth: we are so much more than our job titles, accomplishments, or career paths. And by not always telling people what we do, we give ourselves permission to be seen as whole people rather than a set of achievements. When we choose to keep some parts of our journey private, it's not about secrecy or hiding, it's about honoring our own boundaries. It's about respecting the parts of our lives that are still growing, still forming, and not yet ready for the world's scrutiny. By keeping these moments closed, we create space for vulnerability and real connection. Because we're not leading with our resumes, we're leading with our heart. Stop protecting your growth by embracing privacy is about giving yourself the space to grow and evolve without the noise and expectations of others. In a world that values sharing, promoting, and constantly showcasing what we're up to, it can feel strange, even isolating, to hold back, to keep some things close to your chest. But there's strength and wisdom in holding on to certain aspects of your life and dreams. Sometimes privacy is not about secrecy, it's about self-respect. It's about recognizing that some things need time to mature without outside influence. When you protect what matters most to you, you allow it to flourish under the conditions it needs, free from the pressures of external judgment and the weight of other people's expectations. There's a misconception that by keeping things private, we're somehow ashamed, fearful, or insecure, but in reality, not everything needs to be broadcasted. Privacy can create a sanctuary where we nurture our most cherished goals, learn through our mistakes, and try again without an audience. When we're still developing, whether it's a skill, an idea, or even a shift in who we are, having the world weigh in too soon can be overwhelming and even damaging. Constantly explaining what you're doing or defending why you're doing it adds an unnecessary layer of pressure and self-consciousness. It can lead to premature doubts and questions, undermining the confidence and creativity needed to pursue something authentically. Another important aspect of embracing privacy is that it creates the mental and emotional space to navigate failure more gently. When we are in private, we allow ourselves to fail in ways that feel safer, giving ourselves permission to try new things without the looming fear of judgment. When things don't go as planned, we can handle our setbacks in our own time, learning and pivoting without the influence of someone else's standards or timelines. It's easy to get caught up in what we think others expect of us, and that external pressure can cause us to abandon dreams prematurely, pursue something that wasn't right for us, or shape our goals around other people's definitions of success. By protecting your growth through privacy, you also strengthen the relationship you have with yourself. When you don't seek validation or approval for every step you take, you learn to rely on your inner voice. It becomes clearer, guiding you through your personal journey without the competing noise of outside opinions. When we constantly share our goals or updates, we sometimes give other people the power to define our success or influence our decisions. But in privacy, you take back that power, allowing your journey to be self-directed and meaningful on your own terms. Privacy also helps foster humility. When we keep certain parts of our lives and growth to ourselves, we avoid the temptation to present a polished version of ourselves to the world. In doing so, we cultivate a mindset that values growth over recognition, authenticity over applause. This humility doesn't mean downplaying your achievements, rather, it's about feeling secure in the knowledge that what you're working toward matters to you, regardless of how it's perceived by others. We become comfortable with ourselves as we are without needing others' reactions to validate our experiences. Finally, embracing privacy isn't about closing yourself off from connection. In fact, it can help you build deeper, more authentic connections. When we don't feel pressured to share every detail of what we do, we give others the opportunity to know us for who we are, not what we accomplish. This fosters relationships based on mutual respect and understanding rather than mutual achievements. It allows you to be fully present with the people who matter, connecting on a level that isn't defined by titles, roles, or goals. Choosing privacy in your journey is an act of self-compassion. It's a reminder that you're allowed to take the time you need to grow without an audience, to succeed and fail on your own terms. And ultimately, it's a decision to honor yourself. Embracing privacy doesn't limit you, it empowers you to follow your path in a way that feels genuine, sustainable, and deeply personal. By protecting your growth in this way, you give it the freedom and protection it needs to truly thrive. Focusing on being overdoing is about shifting away from defining ourselves solely by our work, achievements, or titles. In our fast-paced, results-driven culture, it's easy to fall into the trap of equating our worth with productivity. Society often reinforces the idea that our value is directly tied to what we produce or accomplish, but this mindset can leave us feeling exhausted, unfulfilled, and disconnected from our true selves. When we make a conscious decision to focus on who we are rather than what we do, we create space for more meaningful and authentic experiences in our lives. Our culture celebrates action, achievements, and milestones, but when we prioritize doing over being, we can lose sight of our inner qualities and values. We start to think that being busy or successful in conventional terms is all that matters, which can lead to burnout and a lack of personal fulfillment. But focusing on being understanding and honoring who we are at our core grounds us. It reminds us that our value doesn't depend on our productivity or achievements. Instead, it allows us to connect with our intrinsic worth, appreciating ourselves beyond any external accomplishment. When we embrace being overdoing, we learn to recognize our inherent worth. This shift from external validation to self-acceptance is incredibly freeing. We start to see that we don't have to earn our place or prove ourselves through achievements. This doesn't mean we shouldn't strive for goals or enjoy accomplishments. It means we're not defined by them. For instance, someone who is deeply compassionate, wise, or thoughtful brings something irreplaceable to every relationship or interaction. Their presence has a positive impact, not because of their resume, but because of who they are. Realizing this value in being can transform the way we approach life, fostering deeper connections and a sense of peace. Focusing on being also deepens our relationships. When we approach others from a place of being, we're less likely to judge them based on their accomplishments or status. Instead, we see them as whole individuals with strengths, weaknesses, and dreams. This perspective allows us to connect with others on a more meaningful level beyond surface-level identities or roles. When we're genuinely interested in who someone is, we show them that they are valued for their true self, not just what they contribute. This approach builds a foundation of trust and respect in relationships, creating an environment where people feel seen, accepted, and valued. This focus on being overdoing can also enhance our own well-being. When we constantly feel the need to do or achieve, our minds are often filled with stress, pressure, and self-doubt. We become wrapped up in an endless cycle of tasks, goals, and deadlines, often without taking a moment to breathe or reflect. But when we emphasize being, we make room for mindfulness and self-reflection. We allow ourselves to slow down and be present in the moment, appreciating life's smaller, often overlooked experiences. This presence can be grounding and helps us cultivate inner peace and resilience. Over time, this practice of being can lead to greater self-awareness and clarity about what truly matters to us, allowing us to make choices that are aligned with our values. Focusing on being overdoing also fosters resilience because it centers us in something more stable than external achievements. Life can be unpredictable, and we don't always have control over outcomes. When our self-worth is tied to doing, we may find ourselves devastated by setbacks, mistakes, or failures. But when we know that our value lies in who we are, these challenges don't shake us as deeply. We have a strong foundation in our sense of self, which helps us weather life's ups and downs with greater equanimity. This approach allows us to remain compassionate toward ourselves and others, even when things don't go according to plan. Ultimately, focusing on being overdoing is about living with intention and integrity. It's about knowing ourselves deeply, honoring our values, and letting those qualities guide our actions. Instead of constantly striving for more, we begin to value who we are in each moment. This approach doesn't limit ambition, rather, it enriches it by ensuring that what we pursue aligns with our true selves. By choosing to lead with our character, values, and presence, we're able to create a life that feels both purposeful and fulfilling. It reminds us that we're enough as we are, regardless of the titles we hold or the tasks we complete, and that being authentically ourselves is the greatest gift we can bring to the world. Protecting vulnerable spaces in your journey is about safeguarding the most tender, growing parts of yourself from outside judgment and influences. It's about allowing yourself the time and space to develop your dreams, goals, and personal growth without feeling the pressure of having to share everything with others. In today's world of constant connectivity, it can feel almost obligatory to share every accomplishment, every new idea, or even every setback. But keeping certain parts of your journey private allows you to preserve your energy, protect your peace, and nurture your growth without external pressure. When we open up about our dreams, we often do so with excitement and optimism. However, sharing too soon can sometimes invite unsolicited opinions, advice, or even criticism. People, often with the best intentions, may try to impose their own perspectives or project their own fears onto your goals. This can lead to self-doubt and second-guessing. Imagine sharing a new idea you're passionate about, only to have someone immediately question its feasibility or suggest that it's unrealistic. These external opinions can be discouraging, especially when you're in the early stages of building confidence in your abilities or figuring out the path forward. By keeping these vulnerable spaces protected, you give yourself the freedom to explore, experiment, and make mistakes without the weight of others' expectations or judgments. Another benefit of protecting these vulnerable spaces is that it allows for genuine organic growth. Growth is rarely a linear or straightforward process. It often involves setbacks, course corrections, and quiet moments of self-reflection. When you're constantly sharing updates or explaining yourself to others, it can become difficult to listen to your own instincts. Instead, you may find yourself tailoring your progress to what you think others expect or approve of. However, when you allow yourself to grow privately, you have the freedom to follow your intuition, make decisions based on your own values, and change direction if you feel it's necessary, all without worrying about how it will be perceived. Protecting vulnerable spaces also enhances resilience by creating a buffer between your inner world and the external environment. Personal goals, dreams, or even aspects of self-growth are often fragile in their early stages, much like a seedling that needs careful nurturing before it's exposed to the elements. If we expose these delicate parts of ourselves too soon, they can be damaged by criticism or negativity that we may not be ready to handle. When we keep these spaces protected, we give ourselves time to build a solid foundation and gain confidence in our choices. This means that when the time does come to share more openly, we're better prepared to handle whatever feedback or reaction we might receive. We can stand firmly in our decisions because we know we've given them the time and attention they needed to grow strong. Moreover, maintaining privacy over certain aspects of our journey allows us to savor our successes and learn from our challenges in a more personal, meaningful way. Not every success needs to be celebrated publicly, and not every failure needs to be explained. When we keep these experiences private, we get to fully experience them for what they are without the distraction of outside validation or criticism. A private victory can feel more profound because it's celebrated solely by you without any pressure to perform or impress. Similarly, a private setback can be more instructive, allowing you to take the lesson to heart without the added pressure of others watching. By keeping certain aspects of our lives private, we also cultivate a stronger sense of self-trust. We learn to rely on our own judgment and validate our own experiences without needing external confirmation. This self-trust is invaluable because it strengthens our relationship with ourselves and builds our inner resilience. When we protect our vulnerable spaces, we become our own advocates, creating an inner environment that is nurturing and supportive. We start to believe that our dreams and goals are worth pursuing, even if they don't align with what others expect or understand. This belief is crucial for long-term perseverance and self-confidence. Finally, protecting vulnerable spaces fosters a sense of inner peace. When you're not constantly explaining yourself or seeking approval, you're able to stay centered in your own journey. You have more energy to dedicate to what truly matters to you rather than diverting it toward managing others' expectations. This quiet, protected space becomes a refuge where you can connect with your authentic self and gain clarity on what you genuinely want. It's a place of grounding, a sanctuary from the pressures of external noise, where you can reconnect with your purpose and your passion. Choosing to protect your vulnerable spaces isn't about shutting others out or living in secrecy. It's about creating boundaries that allow you to grow, heal, and become the person you're meant to be without the weight of outside influence. This act of protection is a gift you give to yourself, a way to honor your journey, nurture your dreams, and build the resilience you need to thrive. In this space of privacy, you empower yourself to navigate life on your own terms, cultivating a strength and self-assurance that can carry you through any challenge. The end. Choosing privacy and protecting the vulnerable spaces in our lives is an act of self-respect and courage. It's a way of honoring our journeys and nurturing our dreams in a world that constantly demands visibility and validation. By focusing on who we are rather than what we do, and by holding on to the parts of ourselves that are still growing, we give ourselves permission to explore, evolve, and thrive at our own pace. This commitment to privacy isn't about secrecy, it's about creating an environment where we can build confidence, deepen our relationships, and stay grounded in our true values. When we allow ourselves this sacred space, we empower ourselves to navigate life on our own terms. We become more resilient, self-aware, and connected to who we truly are. In that silence and the refuge we create, we find the strength to grow authentically, free from outside influence. So let's embrace this quiet power, honoring our journeys by protecting what's vulnerable, focusing on who we are at our core, and building a life rooted in authenticity and self-trust. The most profound growth often happens away from the spotlight. And in choosing privacy, we create space to become the truest, most powerful versions of ourselves. No excuses. Embracing privacy and protecting your journey means fully committing to yourself. No ifs, no buts, no room for excuses. It's about being relentlessly honest with yourself about what you need to grow and thrive without letting anyone else's expectations or opinions hold you back. This isn't about avoiding vulnerability or escaping challenges. It's about cultivating a fierce dedication to becoming who you truly are, unfiltered and undiluted. Excuses are just walls we build when we're afraid to honor our own paths. But when you protect your vulnerable spaces, you're refusing to let fear or judgment control your life. You're saying to yourself, I am worthy of growth, of time, and a space to become. So stand firm in that decision and don't give in to excuses that would compromise the journey you've chosen. This commitment to privacy is a promise to yourself to keep going no matter what, with integrity and purpose. When you choose this path, you're empowered to say, I don't need anyone's validation. I don't need anyone's permission. I don't need any excuses. I am enough just as I am, and I am moving forward with the courage to become exactly who I am meant to be.